Hi everyone, welcome back and congratulations because you've made it to our last module in the Ranch House recommendations for a 5-year plan for, being a success in the purebred cattle business and marketing your purebred cattle. And so as a recap here, we've been through the three biggest modules, which are going to be the four, but before you buy, your first year and your second year, which is your building phase, your third year, which we just discussed, which is when you actually will be able to start selling cattle with your own prefix or your own brand. And then here we are at years 4 and 5. So if you're listening to this course, chances are most likely you are not at this year just yet. So this is a couple years down the road for you. And by this point, you already have 4 years or more under your belt in the purebred business, and hopefully at this time you've even actually started selling some cattle of your own and kind of have a feel for how that's working. And so from years 4 and 5 and beyond, really your focus is continuing your improvement and your passion, continuing your production, and continuing to take things up a notch if you can. So let's talk for a moment about your sales. As we mentioned, by now, your 4th and 5th year in the business, you should have successfully built a game plan of how to sell your cattle. For us, what works is a combination of a lot of those different methods. We have an online sale for our top end. We sell the majority of our cattle private treaty at the ranch. We sell the bottom end of our cattle at the auction barn. So we use a combination of all of these. And so by now, hopefully, you will have a plan of what is working and what isn't working, and you can evaluate that plan and make some adjustments. Some common things that I see is if you have an online sale that was not a success in year 3, maybe something you can ask yourself as well, did I have too many in the sale, or did I not have the right pedigrees? Were my cattle too old or too young for the sale? And evaluate what worked in the previous year and try something new in this next year and beyond. Another really important thing for the years 4 and beyond, 4, 5 and beyond, is that even though you were probably in a groove at this point, you want to continually focus on adding key cattle or key genetics that are going to help improve your herd. And by this point, year 4 or 5, you're pretty much solid with your herd, and you've pretty much got a grasp on your numbers and things like that. But you always want to be looking out for maybe utilizing the hottest AI sire or buying some semen every year on the young bull prospects that come out. Maybe you want to focus on setting a goal of adding a really elite donor to your herd every year or every 2 years or something like that. Or also the topic of, do you want to buy your replacements or raise your own replacements? And so always be thinking of how can you evaluate your current marketing method and possibly improve it? And then how can you continue to add live animals or genetics that are going to add to the top of your herd to keep making your top end better? So from a marketing perspective, at this point, I always recommend that once you have 10 high quality cattle from one calf crop, I really encourage people to have an online sale. And as we talked about, that number can actually be slightly lower if you want to give it a try. But for us and for me personally, when we started having an online sale, that is when we noticed our program just reached a whole new level. And I really attribute it to the fact that it puts your program out there on a national scale, and it really allows people from all over the USA and even all over the world to view your cattle and to buy from you. And we've talked about before, the magic is in the people, right? So you want to maintain excellent customer service with your buyers. Something that I want to talk about here is returns or exchanges, because in year 3, you were selling your own cattle with your own brand. Years 4 and 5 is when you may realize some problems with the sales. So for example, let's say you sold a herd bull. Turns out he's a non-breeder, and that customer comes back to you and says, this bull didn't breed any cows. What are you going to do? You want to have a plan in place at this point for how you're going to handle that, and everybody's different. You can look at kind of the general terms of other sales. For us, we like to sell animals that are fertility tested before, we actually sell them. But in the event that there is a bull that's a non-breeder, we always offer that customer can bring it back for credit to select a bull of equal value. Or select something else from our herd. Maybe you want to discuss at this point, how you're going to handle refunds, how you're going to handle credit. Are you going to encourage your customers to get insurance on their cattle? How's that going to work? Things like that. Because at this point, if you are going to have a problem with a refund, it's going to emerge in year 4 or year 5. And then finally, I encourage people at this point to stay up to date with technology. Can you add a new tool that you haven't used in the past? Maybe up until now you've just been using AI, but you want to bring on embryo transfer. Or maybe up until now you have been just turning in general performance data, but you haven't incorporated genomics, and you want to do that. There's always new technology that's out there, and so stay abreast of it and see if you can add something new during this stage, because it's just going to help you continue to improve. So as we wrap up kind of the overview that we've talked about, I want to close here with what I call the Seed Stock 5. And I know we've talked about a lot of stuff in developing your marketing plan over this period, but these are the 5 key components that are solid, tried and true things that every seed stock producer needs to be using. So the number 1 most basic foundation of your seed stock marketing program is going to be to continue to focus on your branding, a consistent brand look, and continuing promotion of your general brand awareness. So that means keeping your logo out there, keeping your colors consistent. Maybe you use some giveaways on your social media, but basically your goal is to keep your brand and keep your logo and keep your name out there in front of your clients in the most professional way that you can, to keep that name awareness, keep your name at top of mind within your breed. Second, your website. A website is a must in today's seed stock marketing because when people are looking to find information, they go to Google. And if you don't have a mobile-friendly website, you will not show up. Websites are extremely popular now more than ever as people are doing geo searching because they're looking to find businesses near them. So if you have a client that is searching for Angus bulls, well, Google is going to automatically pre-fill the search to be Angus bulls near that customer's geographic location. And so if you don't have a website, you're not going to come up. So website. Super important for marketing of purebred cattle, for brand name awareness, and for ease of people being able to contact you. Number 3, social media. As you can see here, web and social media are both digital components because it is a digital world that we live in. Facebook is really where it's at for the purebred cattle business at this time, and Instagram is a second. Instagram has slightly more appeal with a younger teenage crowd and somewhat of an international crowd. But if you're going to choose one, Facebook is the most important place to be, and then a secondary outlet could be Instagram. But as we've talked about before, print advertising is still crucial in the cattle business. People love to get those magazines. They cannot wait till the first of the month when the Hereford World comes out or the Brahman Journal comes out, and they just love it. So print advertising is really the new status symbol in the purebred cattle business. And you may think that you don't really need a solid print ad campaign because you've got social media and you've got website covered, but there is just something about seeing that magazine come out and seeing your ad in it. It tells people when you do print advertising, it tells people that you care enough to invest in your business, in promoting your business, and it has a long-lasting effect that people keep around for years to refer back to those magazines. So if you're going to make a print advertising budget, at minimum, start with your breed association, or if you're not in a purebred breed, start with your state cattlemen's association, but this is where most readers enjoy getting their information. And then if you have the option, choose some national magazines. Could be something like Working Ranch Magazine or Gulf Coast Cattlemen or, regional publications like that, because these are great outlets to get your name out there and really solidify your brand. And then finally, I've said it over and over again, the magic is in the people, right? In the purebred cattle business, having those personal connections and those personal contacts is where it's at, because people want to do business with people that they like and people they trust. And they want to do business with someone that they could call at 2 a.m. if they're having calving trouble and say, hey, Brandon, I got this calf coming and I don't know what to do. Like, it's all about the people. So get out there, get involved in your industry, join your breed association, join your state cattlemen's association, go to your county extension events, go to the NCBA convention, get out there and make those connections and make those personal relationships that are definitely going to be crucial to you in marketing your seed stock cattle. So I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell, and he has this book, Outliers, and he talks about like all these successful business owners and sports celebrities and all that kind of stuff. And one of the key points of his book is that to be a guru or be successful, like the king of any genre or any industry, it takes about 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours worth of work. If you base this on a 40-hour work week, this comes out to just about 5 years. Oh, that's exactly what we're talking about in this class, right? A 5-year marketing plan. So by this time, by the time you've completed the first 5 years, you have reached the level where most people are pretty solid in their professional career or in their genre. But the thing is that in the cattle business, I do share that it takes a bit longer. And I share this story from one of my mentors, Josephina Muscus. She's a really esteemed international businesswoman and Brahman breeder. And 10 years ago, when Brandon and I got married, we thought it would be fun to get some red Brahman cattle. So we bought like this really great red Brahman show heifer, and we just thought we were going to set the red Brahman breed on fire. But we kind of didn't. Our first calf was decent, and we sold a few, and we bred a reserve champion Red Bull at Houston and everything, but we weren't just dominating it like we thought we could do. And she pulled me aside at Houston and she said, Rachel, I know you're trying to do this red Brahman thing. I don't want you to get discouraged because it takes 10 years to become a success in the cattle business. And that really connected with me because, it does take time. Our calving intervals are longer. Sometimes our genetic turnover takes longer. You might have that great calf that gets his leg broke when you're branding him, and then dang, you got to start over. And so this to me is really important to realize that it's not going to be an overnight thing. It's a lifetime investment, and it's an investment for the long haul where hopefully every year you can get a little better, and hopefully you can see a little bit of improvement every year, and then you can look back over your lifetime and say, wow, we did it. I like to wrap up this section, and anytime I do this speech, with a little glimpse to my personal life. And this is a black and white photo. You can't see it, but where the red arrow is a little girl who was 12 years old and just exhibited the grand champion female at the Houston Livestock Show Open Brahman Show. And that little girl is me. I'm the little girl at that halter. And if you've ever been to the Houston Brahman Show, you know that it's probably one of the most competitive livestock shows of any breed, anywhere in the world. It's the best of the best. And I look back on that moment and I think, wow, I showed the champion Brahman female at the Houston Livestock Show when I was 12 years old. And that's just something at that time, and for a lot of times, I thought, this is the best day of my Brahman life. Until this picture, which is here, and it was in that same arena at the Houston Livestock Show, new facility, but this would have been in 2016, and this was when you can see my husband and I both out there showing with animals that we bred and raised, and my husband is the one who's winning the grand champion at the Houston Livestock Show Brahman Show. And you can see from the smile on my face, I'm a pretty competitive person, but I was so happy that day, and at that point, that was the best day of my Brahman life. Until this day. And this day was taken 2 years later down the road, and what happened on this day is that it was my daughter who was showing. It was my 8-year-old daughter, Molly, at her first Brahman Junior Nationals, and she did amazing. We had been practicing together as a family, and she actually won her class and won her division. And I thought, this is the best day of my life in the cattle business when that happened. And you can see we're all very happy. Lots of winning in that family. Until this day. And this day, you can see, hey, there's no purple banners in this picture, right? There's no championships. This is not fancy at all, right? This photo was taken 2 days after we had to make a big change in our family and had to start our new cattle operation for BRC. And we had no show barn. We lost our show barn unexpectedly. We had nowhere to go with all of our show cattle. And my cousins at Heritage Cattle Company, who are probably one of our biggest competitors in the Brahman breed, actually said, hey, you know what? We've got an empty show barn. Why don't you bring your cattle up here and you can keep them here as long as you need it while you build a new show barn. So we drove up and we unloaded our cattle. And it was me and my husband and our 2 little girls. And we basically were starting with nothing. We had nothing. We had no idea what the future was going to hold to us. But we were doing that, and my little girl, Annie, said, you can see her feeding here and helping clean the pens and get the pens ready. She said in her sweet little voice, we are a team. We're doing teamwork. And I thought of all the wonderful moments I've had in the cattle business, all those championships, all those high sellers, all those days that I thought, man, this is the best day of my Brahman life. Actually, the best day and the most proudest day was that day there where I had my family and my 2 little girls, and we knew the importance of each other and the importance of teamwork and the importance of working hard. And I share that because the cattle business is one of the most dynamic and the most exciting and rewarding businesses you can be in. And the thing is that hopefully, like me, and like our family, if you're involved in the cattle business, the best day of yours in the cattle business is always the days that lie ahead. And I hope that by being part of this course and being a subscriber to Ranch House and subscribing to our educational materials, that we're giving you the tools needed that your best days are always the ones that lie ahead. So I want to wrap this up by saying thank you again for choosing to, be a subscriber in the Ranch House Designs family and the Ranch House Designs group of friends. And I want to invite you to go on Facebook, if you are not a member yet, to search for the RHD Educational Group and request to join, because this is a Facebook group where you can continue the conversation and interact with other seed stock breeders and ask any questions, that you might have. And so thank you again for listening to this course. And as always, if you have any questions, you can always contact me at rachel@ranchhousedesigns.com or give us a call at 979-532-9141. So get out there, make it happen, be a success. Thanks.